Good afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. This is where you'll meet some of the most talented, intelligent, and creative people who come to share tips, resources, and knowledge on various topics. My guests come from many industries that include education, music, television, theater, fashion, culinary arts, health and wellness, mental health, community advocates, and so much more. Join me in welcoming my guest, David Roach. And this is our part 2 conversation where he will be talking about the Oakland International Film Festival. So David, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes.
So David, in my first interview, we talked about your vision of the Familyhood Connection and your Do Now strategy. You can find more of that interview on my YouTube channel, Straight Talking with Kelly, episode number 31. Now we will talk about the 20th Oakland International Film Festival happening September 15th through the 24th. David, what is the difference between the Oakland Film Society and the Oakland International Film Festival?
The difference is, there is no difference in that the official organization is the Film Society, which presents the Oakland International Film Festival. The only thing is that we do events periodically throughout the year that are not just the time of the International Film Festival.
Okay.
So, but they're really the same thing. Just like San Francisco Film Society presents the San Francisco International Film Festival. So we're
okay.
And the Sundance Film Institute presents the Sundance Film Festival. So it's an organization, nonprofit organization that presents the film festival.
Oh, okay. So what is the mission of the Oakland International Film Festival? What's your mission?
Our mission is to promote independent filmmakers and the stories that they tell. And the objective is really, and I say the stories that they tell, is because oftentimes the voices are told for us, but not by us. So we're always looking to get the authentic voice of a people. Being international, we try to really hear from different communities about what's happening in their community, what's happening, from the horse's mouth versus.
Okay, yeah.
So that's pretty much what we're hoping to, is our mission.
So now tell me about the film you produced with the Roach brothers, and what was the vision of that?
What was the vision of that? The vision was just to make the movie. It was, my brother Paul wrote the script, Paul Rigney Roach, and he had just finished working on, he had just done a national stage play called Tone It Like It Is with David Talbert, who's made some pretty big films over the last 10 years. And he then had worked on New Jack City, and he had the script. He was like, man, I really want to make this film. And I had just finished Morehouse, finance major. And then we were able to convince our brother Mac, the doctor, to get involved. And then we were able to find ourselves at a flat in the Haight district shooting this film. Tony Dorsett, our production manager, kind of came on board. Sydney Bird is a period piece that really, it was a detective. Sydney Bird, Private Eye is the name of the film. And so it was a period piece. So we were really trying to shoot a period piece that had some comedy in it, but it also touched on some political things. Paul wrote in the script, some things that, it was a jury theft. And one of the main characters, Max Calloway, was this really cool beatnik guy whose father owned the jewelry store. And when we, during Sydney Bird's process of investigating who might have stolen the jewels, he felt like, Max could be a suspect and And because Max actually said that my dad gets these jewels from a place that doesn't, that uses like slave labor. And so he was trying to make some statements throughout the film. I think he achieved that. As you mentioned, what was the vision of the film, the mission? Part of the mission was to really make a successful feature film and then, you know, receive distribution and become big in Hollywood.
Okay.
So that was it. We went to the, you know, we got into the Pan-African Film Festival, several other film festivals. We got a couple offers during the time, and he got kind of busy on some other projects. And but that was kind of like the first film that we really wanted to make, Sydney Bird's Private Eye.
And it was kind of cool that you guys did it as brothers. So
it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fighting at times, you know, because I was a producer. And when your older brother is the writer and the director, and he was like, I'm executive producer with the other executive producer. And I'm saying, yo, as producer, we need to edit this again. And he's saying, we don't need to edit it again. It's already good enough as it is. You have conflict after conflict. And so it was beautiful, yet it had some moments that you were like, I'm about to kill this brother. You know what I mean? And so, you know,
it's like, so at the dinner table, don't talk to me tonight, okay?
Well, fortunately, we didn't live in the same place. So
okay.
But yeah,
okay.
but it was a lot of fun. Mostly it was a lot of fun. A lot of people that were part of our project, you know, some have gone other places. You know, Paul, when he did the stage play Telling Like It Is, Terry Vaughn was in that play, and she attributes that to her going into, you know, doing her thing. And
okay, nice.
John Eddins is a guy who's doing some major films now, and so it was sort of like if you watch, you know, you remember Crooklyn, and you have Delroy Lindo, and you see all these old actors, and you're like, wait a minute, they kind of blew up because Spike kind of, you know, we were trying to really, part of the mission was to work with, you know, local talent and to help get people a chance to be in film and showcase what we had as well.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Now, so David, in the last 2 years during the global COVID pandemic, you had to make adjustments, you know, canceling in-person events and streaming films from your website, holding panel film conversations on Zoom. What can we expect for the 20th Oakland International Film Festival?
What can we expect? Well, I tell you, last year, around this time, it seemed very promising that we would be back to the physical. And then all of a sudden the numbers went up again. And then we were like, okay, we can't do the physical. So what to expect this year is kind of contingent upon how we deal with this pandemic.
Okay.
Also, going around, the terrain is different in Oakland than it was 2 years ago. Just even last year. You know, I've been driving around to locations that we've used in the past. Some of them are now closed.
Oh, wow.
They're out of business. Wow. There are some new places that have popped up. And so we're, you know, trying to connect with places that could be possible venues. So right now, being that our event is in September, we're about 6 months away. Hopefully in about 3 months, we'll know more about, you know, how we can become more physical. And because that's the best part, is the physical. The virtual world is really, it has its advantages on a global scale because we were able to host interviews like filmmakers from Korea, and they're like you right now, talking to people. And so we're hoping to continue that part because we can't fly, you know, everybody here and to be here at the festival. But it's just the atmosphere of being in the same room and you're able to say, hey, that person, I want you to meet.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly,
Oh, you know,
exactly.
and the
The
filmmaker,
networking.
yeah, and the
Mhm.
filmmakers just love seeing each other's work.
Yeah.
And even though we were able to share with filmmakers through, you know, they could log in to Film Freeway and find out how to, you know, see other filmmakers' work. There's just something about seeing it with an audience, being able to hear the Q&A,
Mhm.
to know and be able to ask questions about, so how did you like start this? Like, how did you, like, what made you tell the story? What, you know, and so, and then be able to then venture off to another location where you can now break bread and share drinks and still talk about what you saw, and just the opportunities for the networking
Yeah.
are some of the things that we really missed over the last couple of years, and we're hoping to have that back.
And so what kind of films do you seek? What are you looking for?
We're looking for good films.
Okay. That's a nice place to start.
We're looking for films that will inspire audiences to do the right thing. We're looking for films that that allow new filmmakers a way to share their voice, up and coming filmmakers. We're looking for authentic stories, voices. We love films that touch on social justice, that, you know, educate and advocate for equality.
Mhm.
And we look for films that can tell it in animation, in documentary, in narrative, you know, short films, feature films.
And so this is with all ethnic backgrounds that you accept the submissions from. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's
Okay.
international. We're the Oakland
Okay.
International Film Festival.
Okay.
And so we hope that, as you asked, what was the mission? We hope that as we hear what's happening around the world,
Yeah.
we will realize that we all care about our families, our children, our parents,
Yes.
and that we're really one human race.
Yep, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So now I see that you've added a couple of new categories. One is called the best town made. Is that right? Best town made in our town. And then
Yes.
you also added the familyhood.
Yes.
So talk about that for me.
Really, really beautiful. Well, Made in the Town is a category to really promote the local filmmaker, to say, this is from our neighborhood, this is our voice, this is, you know, we use, kind of as you were asking about the mission of Sydney Bird, the film that we made, it was the local folks that really participated, and we were able to find, you know, cast and crew to work on it. And so whenever you see a film and the movie's over, you know, just sit there a little longer and read the credits, and you see all the people that made that film happen. And we really are trying to, you know, really say, hey, be proud of all of the lighting crew and the gaffers and the best boy. I don't even know what the best boy does, but you know, just, you know, all the titles that people that work to make it happen. And then Familyhood is, as I was sharing with you in the previous interview, is a part of an organ, you know, my other hat, which is to promote schools to have an intergenerational governance of student government, PTA, and alumni. And so we're kind of utilizing the film festival to promote schools to share how they are governing themselves, what kind of activities do they do to empower the school, to empower the community. And even if, you know, students might just use their own camera to record, you know, them working in their garden. Familyhood is based on really two mottos. Every school should have a garden, a farmer's market, and a grocery store. And every school should have a functioning student government association, a parent teacher association, and an alumni association. And so we're hoping that we can promote that using our international antennas to say that this is what's happening here in Oakland, but maybe you can do it in Brazil. Maybe you can do Familyhood or your version of it in Angola or other places.
Oh, that would be great. Wouldn't that be wonderful to
That
start
would be
seeing that?
wonderful.
Yeah.
That
And then
was, that's the dream. That's the
well,
dream.
And the other thing that comes to my mind is like, it would be great to get some of the farmers together and for them to do a film showing you a farming process,
There you go.
and what that entails. I think that would be more like a documentary, I would think.
Well, I think that you touched on that earlier, or our previous interview, that, when we say a garden and a farmer's market, that's what we did at McClymonds. Was we had the African-American farmers bringing the food to a school site, and the students actually, help market people to buy the food.
Yeah.
And so when we say every school to have a farmer's market and a grocery store, it's sort of like the steps to get to the grocery store is that the relationship the farmer's market creates with farmers, Black farmers, all farmers, can then lead into the grocery store.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, what does the film submission and screening process entail? What do people have to go through?
Well, we have what's called there's a company called Film Freeway. There used to be another company called Without a Box. They were bought out by IMDb, which is owned by Amazon. And this was kind of like the main portal that you would submit your film through. And what that enables is for us to see the film online, and then to allow our judges and partners to view the films. So we use Film Freeway for that. And our website is just Film Freeway. Well, the submission website is filmfreeway.com/Oakland International Film Festival. And so once a filmmaker goes there, they are able to pay a small fee and then actually put their film up, download their film into the system, put their picture, their poster print of the film, and have all the credits, have all the synopsis information, and it's all in one place for us. And thousands and thousands of film festivals around the world use the same platform.
Oh, nice. And so I'm sure it has instructions and guidelines in terms of what they need to do, how to do it, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's just basically like a form that a filmmaker would fill in. What's the name of your film? What's the synopsis? And then once they put all those details in, we get to see it, we get to judge it, and then we go through the process of selecting, what we feel are the best films.
Now, so what are the different categories? And my question here, do you take music videos? Is that considered?
We do take music videos. And the categories are to hopefully attract certain types of films, but but it's not like, sometimes people submit films that aren't even in the categories, and it's just good, and it's just a good film, and we just are excited to show the film. But we try to emphasize the social justice and the community development, neighborhood, and kind of thing. That's part of what we feel comes along with the Oakland title of being the Oakland International Film Festival. We're very dear to, all power to the people in Oakland. And so we're really pushing that spear of actually a freedom.
Yeah, right. And just do good for the community. Like Spike Lee say, do the right thing.
Exactly.
Do the right thing.
Exactly. Do the right thing.
So the 20th Oakland International Film Festival is September 15th through the 24th.
Yes.
What are some of the ways people can participate?
Well, they can actually get involved now. We have, we have events. Well, right now we're planning on doing some events coming up soon. And so they could actually, come out to some of the events and learn more about the festival. And then hopefully, just get involved with the planning of, maybe they know possible places that we could host events. We're always looking for people who are into film, to participate in different levels. And what's your question again? Like how can people get involved?
Right. How can they participate?
Yeah. So for the most part, during the festival, of course, we always need people to help, manage the events. And so, ticket sales, or, holding booth spaces, helping spread the word through their social media, through the website, etc. It kind of depends on how this pandemic is going to be.
Sure.
As far as how we're going to be able to, like this past year, we didn't really need people to be physically anywhere because we didn't do any physical events.
Right.
But we did do some physical events because we held outdoor screenings. And so we had some volunteers who were at the screenings and, helping to, set up and bring things down and just having that personal connection to the audience.
Well, as you were saying this and thinking about the type of people and stuff that you need, the first thing that goes to my mind, I'm thinking about the different junior colleges and the universities, their film department. Do you reach out to them and let them know, create a flyer and let them know your needs? Because
sometimes we do.
Okay,
sometimes we do.
Okay, because I can see those students really wanting to be a part of it.
That's true. And we've had some film students from San Francisco State participate over the last few years. And sometimes you have a teacher, like we've had Expressions College here in Oakland, Betty there in Emeryville, and they've prepared some of our information, like branding, rebranding, some trailers to help promote the festival. And then sometimes you have changes in administration. So you're contacting them back and they're like, well, that person doesn't work here anymore. So then, so it doesn't maybe work at that time. But as you're saying, right now we're talking to Laney College. We're working on this partnership. We work with Holy Names University with some of their students and their social justice department there.
Nice.
And so we're always looking for schools, because we really, part of our mission is we want to really tap into young filmmakers to see filmmaking as a possible career choice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that was good. And I know City College has that theater department. And, so anyways.
Yeah, we have something we're working on that is different, but I can't talk about it quite yet.
Okay.
But it's kind of, I think, what you're touching on, because we really have a real burning desire to utilize theater in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're working on behind the scenes right now, as I mentioned, with Laney and Holy Names here in Oakland, but City College might be a great venue for that. And it's just kind of like more of a hybrid way of kind of promoting and seeing how we can connect the dots better, using the virtual world as well as the physical world.
Yeah. So now I know one of my favorite festival was the one that Robert Townsend was in. When he came here, he was so wonderful and I absolutely adore him. And I know Jackie, where did she have that? I forgot. Jackie was the one doing this one, but it was just very memorable for me. And it was around it was during a holiday season around Christmas time. And I can't remember where it was, but it was wonderful. And it was just really sweet. So I got so excited. I actually had my little nephew come because he liked Robert Townsend. So he's got a picture with him and, he took lots of pictures. Yeah, it was really nice. So I just think that what you're doing is phenomenal. So the 15th through the 24th.
Yes.
So I know there's a lot of deadlines for, people that need to submit their stuff. So you had a series of deadlines and all of that stuff is posted on your website, correct?
That is correct. oiff.org. And I know that we have our regular deadline is the 25th of this month, but then we have some late deadlines, and a later deadline, and I don't remember the dates, but it's all on our website. And I would say get in early, get your film early, because we actually do some early selections, and we're trying to give more time to marketing the films in our festival. Sometimes our deadlines being so late, it's harder to really market the film, because when you have, 50 to 80 films in a festival, people see the Oakland International Film Festival, but they don't see the films behind the festival. So we want them to get behind the name and to know each film. So we're really working to have a speedier process where you could go. I'm rocking back and forth. You told me don't go forward because your go ahead is too. So I'm rocking back and forth. So I'm glad you kind of touched on something that reminded me of that would be kind of different, in that we're really trying to offer you to see the films from your home couch, but then also offer you a chance to see the filmmakers, hear the Q&As, and have the physical. But that, of course, depends on how we handle this pandemic. I'm hoping people still keep their mask on. Some people look better with the mask, to be honest with you. That's what my brother keeps saying to my dad when we play dominoes. He said, you actually look better with the mask on.
Well, you know what? I think there's so much confusing information out there. I saw where the mayor here in San Francisco just lifted the mask in official places where you don't have to wear it anymore.
I understand.
But then I heard on the news where there's a new variant going on. Right. So it's just like, you know what? People, keep your mask on. That's all I got to say.
Why not? Like, if we know it's helped bring the numbers down, why don't we just bring it down more? Just for hopefully a little while longer, and then we can go back to the way things used to be, hopefully. So David, before we end this session, is there anything else you'd like to say to the listening audience? And then I definitely want you to repeat slowly your website. So what do you need to say to these people? I would say that it's you touched on some things about the journey, and this pandemic has been a journey for us. When we first started the festival, we were taking VHS and tapes from filmmakers. And that's when that was like 20 years ago, right? And now this whole virtual world is here, and that it's been it'll be 27 years this year since the movie Panther was made in Oakland.
Oh wow.
27 years.
27.
And by Mario Van Peebles. And we're kind of working on revisiting some of that. That's kind of like a special thing that we're going to release soon. Mario get the pound sound and say, I'll be there. I can, participate. And so we're hoping to tap into some of the work, 27 years, looking at the Panther Party in Oakland. We're hoping that people can actually visit some of the sites in Oakland that have some great meaning to the community here. We also are working with some other organizations here. We have a few organizations that are kind of working with getting young folks behind the cameras.
Nice.
And so we're, so I could go on, but, I think it's, I think we're different in the sense that we're trying to, connect the dots of the community and the film festival. I think a lot of the film festivals are doing a great job, but they tend to just do the glamour and not really get into the community. And we're hoping that we can create a bridge that would, as it is with our category of Made in the Town, where young folks are making films and we're able to then connect them to resources and funding or whatever to tell their stories and to make a living telling their stories.
That's beautiful.
And so So Oakland, oiff.org is our website. And that can be reached at droach@oiff.org.
Beautiful. Now, when you brought up Van Peebles, his father just passed away, such an icon. And then so the simple fact that he's participating, I think is beautiful, because Sweet Sweetback was the start of it all for us.
Yes.
And then also the Panthers, I saw recently, well, earlier this year, where it was a lot of celebration going on, monuments being, unveiled. So to see that they are still celebrating them is phenomenal. I love it. When I think of Huey, I'm just like, you know what? These guys were brilliant, so brilliant that, they had the FBI looking at them, because that's how fearful they were. And the interesting thing is, they weren't really doing anything but feeding their community, making sure their community was being educated. So why were you afraid of that?
Well, J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the FBI,
Oh yeah,
saying that the breakfast program was a threat to our security in this country, and I think it's appalling. It's
unbelievable. It's crazy.
It's Marcus Garvey, when he was doing his thing, it was the FBI hired the first agent to infiltrate the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and it is. But just think about if these organizations were welcomed by the government, because they were really, when you have a breakfast program that later was sort of went to become a statewide program.
Right.
It really was because of the Panther Party started.
Absolutely.
Then
and you know what? I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the point that I want you to say it again, because I don't think people really realize is that the Panthers are the ones that started that.
Right. But I think that's important, because not only did they start the breakfast program, they taught, while they were feeding the kids, their Black history.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was a reason why the government said, we got to control the breakfast program, because we don't want them kids to know their history.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important, kind of like our other interview, when we were talking about how they're taking certain books out of the curriculum.
Yes.
A critical theory thing, right? That's out now. And there is definitely, the resistance is for our people not to be free, not to have a knowledge of self, and to have a community that we can call our community.
David, because they're trying to keep America. What does that man say?
Great again.
Right.
Oh, come on now.
They trying to keep America great.
Did you say that?
Yeah, you trying to upset it. It's like, it's just mind-boggling.
No, but that's very much fear-based, because we've made it. We've just think how many contributions we've made to America. Just think how many wars we fought to I don't want to say to keep America, but to fight for freedom that America claims that it's supposed to have.
Right.
How many of our soldiers have, died for America? And so it's a fear that somehow is embedded in this country. I think the movie Buck and the Preacher said it very well, when you might remember.
Who was the actors? I remember that movie, but I'm trying to think who were the actors in that.
It was Sidney Poitier's directorial debut.
Okay.
He played Buck.
Okay.
And Harry
Belafonte, yes,
played the preacher, and Buck was dating Ruby Dee. And so there's a scene where Buck is in the cabin. He finally kind of runs away from these kind of like Ku Klux Klan folks who didn't want the Black folks to leave their farms in Louisiana. They were headed to Colorado, but he was trying to tell them, y'all got a good thing happening in Louisiana. Let's go back to Louisiana. So anyway, Ruby Dee, she says, but we got to go. We need to go to Canada. They will not allow us to build in this country. And it's something that James Baldwin said, and we showed the film. The introduction was by Angela Davis. It was an amazing documentary here at UC Berkeley where he was speaking, and he talked about how we are not able to build a community. Like every time we have a Black Wall Street, where you have, that was in Greenwood, Alpine, and Pine County of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You have these areas where Black folks, where the dollar circulates 100 times before it leaves. And you have here in California, you have Collinsworth, the Allensworth, named after Colonel Allensworth, who was a graduate of Tuskegee. Anyway, they cut off the water supply. There was a Black community. But we're not supported to grow a community. And that is, even though the Panthers were doing everything that legally they could do. Right, they weren't going against the law. And when they were carrying guns, that was legal during that time. And it was because they were carrying guns that all of a sudden they passed the McCormick Law, which said you can't carry guns no more. So we're doing things legally, but when we start using our voice, our then all of a sudden it's like, no, wait a minute, y'all can't do that, put them guns down, right? And so anyway, we have to know this history to really, as you said, as Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their past is like a tree without roots. And so we need to know our roots in order to really grow the right tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
David, this has been such a pleasure, and I am looking forward to the 20th Annual Film Festival. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
And to our listening audience, please hit them up, get your films involved, to the music video people out there, get your videos in there. Do you have a platform? So I'll definitely let my little nephew know, because he actually does video recordings.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, he does that for people. So I'll definitely let him know about it.
Okay.
And I'm just really, really glad that you were here. So part one, David talks about his Familyhood Connection. And then here in part two, he talks about his Oakland International Film Festival. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate being your guest 2 times. And I think you're doing an amazing job, and you've always been a shining light in the community, and keep up the great work.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
To my listening audience, thank you for listening to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share. I'll see you soon.